Experience Epic Poker. Now you can play like a pro, free. Eight of the world's greatest players are ready. One of them will be the second Epic Poker main event champion. In tournament poker, it's all about getting to one place. It's all about earning one seat. It's all about the final table.
Good job, guys.
And because this league features the game's best, an epic final table is among the toughest to reach. Now 8 men have achieved that very goal. A 21-year-old with championship dreams, an unlikely chip leader looking to prove his mettle, an accomplished group of elite professionals, along with the one man who just might be the best player on the planet.
Watching Erik Seidel at the table is intimidating.
Now we got a poker there.
The guy is running too good and he is too good.
My best move is probably just to stay away from Erik.
I call.
If I were to book it, he'd be the odds favorite of all of us to win it.
Erik Seidel follows up his second-place finish in Epic Poker's inaugural event with another shot at the championship ring and the title of poker's undisputed king.
I haven't done anything yet. There are 7 other really excellent players that I have to contend with. They're all very dangerous people, so you're really going to watch some high-level play.
Can he do it? Will he do it? Sit back and find out. Welcome to the Palms Casino Resort, Las Vegas, for the second Epic Poker League final table. Just 8 remain in the hunt for the title and the $750,000 top prize. Hi again, everybody. I'm Pat O'Brien, along with my partner, Ali Najad. Hello, partner. How are you? Nice to see you again. You know, this league is rooted in exclusivity. There are only 2 ways to get in. You either qualify based on past results, or you win a seat in the tournament. So victory against such an elite field would be extra special for any of these 8 remaining players.
Indeed, Pat. There's a lot of cachet that comes along with battling and beating the world's best players, and a win here would give all of these guys something to boast about. Sean Getzweiler is a Pro-Am winner who's playing for not only the cash and prestige, but a season-long league card. Isaac Barron has won over $2 million in live tournaments and is one of the best young players in the game. Frenchman Fabrice Soulier is having a stellar year with a World Series bracelet and a ranking of 7th on the GPI. Poker prodigy Mike McDonald is hoping for another major victory before age 22. Dutch Boyd was once a prodigy. Now in his 30s, he'd love to prove he can still hold his own with the big boys. Nam Lee may be one of the most underrated players in all of poker. Soft-spoken, it's his game that does the talking. David Steike is a businessman, playing poker as a hobby, but whether trading stocks or chips, he gets the job done. And Erik Seidel is on the run of a lifetime with what may be the greatest stretch of poker ever. He fell short in Epic's first event, finishing second, but Pat, anytime the Cyborg has chips, and most of the time when he doesn't, I like him to win.
Well, I like that pick as well, Ali, but as you know, Seidel has his work cut out for him because this table is as tough as it gets. So, without further ado, let's turn things over to the commissioner, Andy Duke, to kick things off.
Let's get right to another fantastic day of poker and a superb final table. Good luck, players. Shuffle up and deal.
Chip leader David Steike prepares for battle. Dutch Boyd pumped to be here. Erik Seidel, the number 2 ranked player in the world, you see that next to his name, has a chance to be number 1.
Good luck, everyone.
Let's take a look at how the table lays out. In the 1 seat, Fabrice Soulier with $536,000 is slightly under par as the chip average is 606. Sean Getzweiler in the 6th seat is the short stack and must deal with Seidel on his left. Seidel second in chips, trailing only David Steike in the 3 seat. Everyone hoping for that $780,000 payday to the winner.
Blinds are 5 and 10,000 with a 1K ante. Lee, Soulier, and McDonald all fold. David Steike, the commodities trader, looks down at a pair of jacks.
Well, Steike's just a part-time player. An impressive run to get this far through all these sharks.
Steike raises to 25,000 from the hijack position, indicated by the HJ next to his cards. Dutch Boyd not impressed with his hand. Action to Sean Getzweiler, the Pro-Am winner. He also folds. Seidel in the big blind takes a look at 2 kings.
Uh-oh. Bad news for David Steike. One of the 3 hands that have him beat pre-flop.
Seidel raises to 75,000. You see his remaining stack under the bet there.
Eric not wanting to slow play out of position, taking the lead in this pot, and of course Steiche making the call for the extra 50,000.
And here comes the flop. It's ace-5 deuce, 2 spades. Seidel's king still good. He acts first as indicated by the green light next to his cards.
The ace on the board could slow down either player. Seidel with the lead in the pot is of course going to fire the continuation bet.
Steiche calls.
David not convinced he is beat just yet, even though he was 3-bet pre-flop.
Turn card, tray of spades.
Interesting board now. Third spade gives each player a flush draw. Seidel with the nut flush draw, looking back to double check. Now, even if Eric thinks Steiche has an ace in his hand, he can get away with a bet that might win the pot right here because he has that backup.
Seidel with a huge bet, 225,000.
That's healthy in size. Certainly means business.
Okay, Steiche lays down his jack. Seidel wins the pot. Now the best player in the world takes a chip lead.
Yeah, David just slipped off a few Christmas lists at the table, no doubt. Not doing the rest of the field any favors.
We're talking about the cyborg. Stack is just always stacked against you, isn't it?
Well, Seidel has been stacking lots of cash this year, over $6.2 million in earnings. Wow. Let's see how much Seidel can add to that. The next player to be eliminated will pick up 57 grand. Fifth place breaks 6 figures, and the winner gets 782,000.
So action folds to Seidel, who was under the gun +1, and now he has pocket aces.
Don't ever run bad. He's bumped it up from slumming it with those 2 kings, Pat.
Seidel raises it up to 25,000. Seventh on the GPI, Fabrice Soulier folds. League's youngest player, Mike McDonald, lets it go. David Steiche passes as well. Now Dutch Boyd in the small blind. He's got pocket jacks. This could get interesting, Ali.
We know what Seidel does with jacks. He beat Steiche in that last hand, and notice the difference. Boyd looking to smooth call out of position. Not going to try to define his hand and take control of the pot.
The flop is 4 tray rainbow. Seidel still ahead.
Totally irrelevant flop. Not likely that either of these players have hit it. So it's either the 2 big overcards or the pocket pair situation.
Boyd checks and Seidel bets 25,000.
And this is totally standard from Seidel. Dutch doesn't have any additional information as to the strength of Eric's hand at this point.
Boyd with the check raise makes it 75,000.
Well, that line is slightly inconsistent with Dutch's pre-flop play. One would expect him to check call if he's going to smooth call pre-flop. But he's asking Eric a question, and he just got his answer, Pat.
Re-raises to 135,000.
Eric's telling Dutch a story. He's saying he's got the big overpair. With 2 10s or 2 9s, Eric might not play back at Dutch.
Mullen.
Boyd shoves.
This is a huge implosion from Dutch. Eric's for sure calling.
Call.
And he makes the automatic call. Boyd at risk. You see his outs. He needs a jack.
Dutch managed to get 300K into the middle with the blinds at 5-10. Had he remained conservative like he did pre-flop, he wouldn't be in this spot.
Turn card is an ace. A full house for Seidel, and that'll do it. Seidel gets a check mark. Dutch Boyd is drawing dead, eliminated in 8th place.
That's about as upset as you're going to ever see anyone on the walk to a cashier to pick up $58,000. Dutch Boyd knows he made a mistake there. And Eric Seidel now up over $1.6 million in chips.
What heater? What heater?
Well, if the rest of the table was upset after David Steiche sent some chips Seidel's way, they'll be real angry now.
Eric Seidel continues his impressive march towards the title. He is the chip leader as we continue 7-handed. But for Dutch Boyd, it's the end of the road.
How does it feel to get knocked out of the Epic Poker League? Not so good. I hate it when people say, oh, nothing you could do, right? It's so cliche. It's like, oh, nothing you could do. That should be like small blind, oh, jacks fold. It's Seidel. Of course he has aces. Sucks.
Experience Epic Poker. Now you can play like a pro, free. Welcome back to the Palms Casino Resort, where Michael McDonald has Sean Getzweiler on the ropes.
McDonald with kings under the gun, raised it up. Getzweiler shoved his last 221 with ace-king. McDonald called, and the turn card put a straight draw on the board, giving him some chop outs.
I feel an ace. Ace in your face.
I don't.
All you see is outs. Only an ace or a 5 saves Getzweiler. River card is not one of them, and that'll do it for Getzweiler. Gone in 7th place. Pro-Am winner turned $1,500 into $69,000.
Try getting those returns on Wall Street, Pat. As a Pro-Am winner, by making this final table, Getzweiler has earned the right to play in our next main event. It'll be a special mix of heads-up, 4, 6, and 8 max tables. We're calling it Mixed Max.
I've been running pretty good this tournament.
Well, I guess we both have. Like this.
Mike is the youngest player in the league. He'll turn 22 right after this final table.
David Steike, the second oldest at the table, a part-time player. He trades commodities in Hong Kong.
He's been on a roll this tournament. Started the final table as chip leader. Now only one of 2 players over par. Isaac Barron right behind him in 3rd, followed by Soulier and McDonald. Nam Lee is the short stack, and surprise, surprise, look who's sitting in 1st. That man, Erik Seidel.
He's having perhaps the greatest run in poker history, and things, they just keep on rolling.
It's an amazing thing to experience a run like this. I will never have another year like this one.
Ask myself, what would Erik Seidel do?
I call.
That's a good call, buddy.
It's really interesting when you play these tournaments because it really creates an intimacy between you and the other players where you really get to know what they're capable of and what they like to do. All right, show me ace queen. If you're playing well, your edge should get stronger as the tournament goes on.
How can I bluff you, Erik? You read through everybody's soul.
The game gets more and more challenging every year, so I hope to be able to keep up over the next 5 years, and we'll see.
Why just the next 5 years? Seidel showing no signs of slowing down.
To find out how to play against Seidel and other top pros in an epic event, log on to epicpoker.com.
Blinds have gone up to 6 and 12,000 now. Ante at 2K. Small pocket pair for Steike under the gun.
Steike raises to 27,000. Over to Isaac Barron, who finished in 10th place at the 6 max main event, just missing the final table. A couple of trays. He calls. Seidel folds to the short stack. Nam Lee, he's got King Jack and lets it go.
King Jack suited no less, respecting the early position of the raiser and caller.
And the flop is 10-8 tray rainbow. Barron hits a set and takes the lead. The players' graphics have reordered. Steike now acts first, and he checks. Barron reaching for some chips, throws out 40,000.
Strange that David is willing to check away the lead in this pot, considering he's the pre-flop raiser.
Steike calls. The turn is a 6 of spades. Barron still ahead.
Steike check called the flop when he should have led. Now he's got no information.
And he checks.
Now with another check, Steike still has no information. Barron, of course, is going to measure out a bet that he thinks he's going to be able to get called on. It's roughly half the pot, 88,000.
Steike with the check raise to 200,000.
Well, this is interesting. Steike's line in this pot suggests that he flopped a hand so big that he was unwilling to bet it on the flop and potentially lose Isaac Barron, a hand like a set of 10s or a set of 8s.
Barron calls, pot nearing 600,000.
Yeah, Isaac can't simply muck his set of trays because of the check raise, but he may not be super comfortable with them.
River card is a 4.
Oh.
Steike hits a 2-outer, now has a set of 4s. He earns the check mark. He can only lose the hand if he folds.
He's not going anywhere. If Isaac Barron had a set of 10s, 8s, or 6s, Steike would have heard from him on the turn.
Comes out firing with 300,000.
And you can see the discomfort all over Isaac's face. Almost 60% of his remaining stack to call.
I guess it's pretty gross if you have my beat.
Barron calls.
I got very lucky, I'm sorry.
Wow.
I had the best hand anyway. Yeah.
Wow. Cold-blooded. Barf bag to the main game. Apology certainly not going to make Isaac feel any better. He just lost 71% of his stack and is left with just 19 big blinds.
Barron, we know what you're thinking. While the part-time player David Steike making some noise, up over $1.5 million as he tries to take this 8-max title. Experience Epic Poker. Now you can play like a pro, free. Welcome back to the Palms Casino Resort, the second Epic Poker main event final table. David Steike did most of the damage to Isaac Barron. Now Fabrice Soulier looks to do the deed.
Barron was short and shoved his 14 big blinds in with Queen 10 suited. Soulier made the call with Ace 10 from the big blind. Barron looking for help.
Flop. Ace King 9 rainbow. Soulier pairs his ace. Barron picks up a gut shot.
Isaac fishing for a jack to make the nut straight. Doesn't look optimistic, does he?
Nope. Turn card, 8 of spades. 8 more outs for Barron as he picks up a flush draw.
At least if you make a straight flush.
Spade or a jack, or Isaac is done in 6th.
Make it enjoyable.
And now the river, it's black, but a club. No luck for Isaac Barron as he is our 6th place finisher.
Isaac's going to be taking home $92,000. Not too shabby, but he certainly had his sights set on more. Fabrice Soulier, meanwhile, raking in a nice pot and taking out a tough customer.
Happy to bust it. Wow.
Yeah, definitely a relief. He's, I think he's one of the best players there are.
I agree.
Definitely in my top 10 list, maybe top 5 list.
Soulier himself is currently among the top 10 on the Global Poker Index, an innovative way to definitively rank the game's best based on their tournament results over the last 3 years.
Pat, as you see, Soulier is 7th on the GPI. A strong finish here will improve his standing. Same for Erik Seidel, who's hoping to lock up the #1 ranking with a 3rd place or better finish. Like Seidel, Soulier having an excellent 2011.
And a lot of time in front of the camera lately, but before turning pro, he spent lots of time behind the camera.
I've worked as an assistant director in cinema, and then I've worked for TV as a director, and that was nice for 2 or 3 years, and then it got a little boring, and I started playing poker more and more. And I decided I couldn't do both, so I've been playing poker for the last 10 years now. 42?
42,000.
Poker and TV are kind of similar because you keep traveling all the time. You meet new people for a short period of time, and then you go to another set, another film, and you meet some other people, and it's every time it's a new adventure. And poker has new people, new places, new locations.
Allez-vous, right?
In a way, you never know what tomorrow gonna be made with. You're right. You're right. Now I'm in the final here. I'm happy about my year no matter what's gonna happen today, but of course a win would be great. I make it.
Soulier won one of the most prestigious and toughest events at the World Series of Poker, the 10K Horse, and he followed that up by cutting through this tough field, still in the running for that $782,000 for first place.
Just 5 players remain in our 8-max final table. Erik Seidel still leads, pars nearing $1 million. Action folded around to David Steike in the small blind. He looks at pocket 7s.
Good to see Steike feeling better. He was sick for the first couple of days of the tournament, became chip leader. Now 2nd overall to that man, Seidel.
Over to Seidel after a raise of $36,000. He's got 9 of diamonds, queen of clubs. Seidel calls. We are heads up to the flop. It's a battle of the blinds and the battle of the 2 big stacks. Ace, king, king, 2 clubs. Steike still ahead.
And he's got control as the pre-flop raiser with those 2 7s. Not going to do the same thing he did with those pocket 4s against Isaac Barron. He's going to lead at this flop for $26,000. 108 in the pot. Seidel getting 4-1 is going to float in position with Queen 9.
Turn 8 of clubs. Both players pick up a flush draw. Seidel's is best.
Now, Steiche can't be in love with his 2-7s after getting called on the flop, but he may not want to relinquish his hand in the event that Seidel has something he can get away from here on the turn.
Steiche fired again, 42,000.
Again, you see Seidel is getting great odds, better than 4-1 here. If he suspects that both of his cards are live, including the flush draw, he's getting the right price to call.
Makes the call.
And now Steiche's got real problems with pocket 7s.
River is 4 of spades. Steiche earns the check mark.
2 7s are best, but how do you fire a third barrel? Well, just like that, apparently.
77,000, Steiche bets.
A raise from Eric would get the job done here. But, of course, he doesn't know just how weak David is.
And Seidel lays it down, and David Steiche closes the gap with the chip leader, Seidel.
Eric had at least 2 opportunities to take that pot away, but as it is, just a small dent in the chip leader stack.
David Steiche quietly making his presence known as the final table rolls on. Experience Epic Poker. Now you can play like a pro, free. During Epic Poker's first 2 events, many of the game's greatest players came to test their skills at the Palms Resort Casino.
Good luck, gentlemen.
And the action is not disappointed. Chino Reeve is the first ever Epic Poker League champion. Things have also been entertaining away from the tables. We gave cameras to players for an inside look at the Epic experience, as you'll see in this premiere edition of Off the Hardwood.
This is Chino Reeve. That's Michael the Grinder Mizrachi. We about to hit a cab. Just made the final table. Happy?
I'm a big teddy bear, but you don't want to get on my mean side.
This is the best poker tournament experience I've ever had.
I'm heads up with that guy.
Superman, Eric Seidel. That's my buddy Hassan Habib.
Chino, you get in the lineup?
You genius. Catch a love.
This is the commissioner of this league, Annie Duke.
That's true.
She's essentially
Turns out I'm just a little bit better than Dan at pretty much everything.
1157. I got a slice of that, please. Got a hot sauce on my shirt right here from dinner tonight.
I tried to bluff Seidel. I can't get it out of my head. Eric.
Cards are in the air in 3 minutes.
No music to dance to in this elevator.
We may need to hand out instruction manuals with those cameras next time around. Was there a clean shot that Chino took the whole time?
No. Right now, 5 remain at the final table on the hardwood. Nam Lee is the short stack with McDonald in 4th, Soulier in 3rd. Just 2 players above par of 970,000. Steiche and Seidel still neck and neck for the top spot.
Do you play World Series this year?
Yep.
First time ever, huh?
Yeah, it was exciting.
Really?
What? I thought it was fun. Yeah, getting to play a decent-sized tournament every day is pretty sweet.
This was the first year McDonald was eligible to play.
Yeah, being able to, wake up every day and have like 2 decent tournaments to choose from was kind of cool.
Yeah.
McDonald was a European Poker Tour champion at the tender age of just 18.
Of course, Fabrice Soulier had a memorable World Series, winning the prestigious 10K horse event. He folds over to Mike McDonald. In the cutoff, he looks down at a pair of 7s.
2 7s worked out nicely for David Steiche against Eric Seidel.
The league's youngest player raises to 27,000. Steiche lets it go, as does Seidel. Short stack Nam Lee in the big blind. He's holding King of Hearts, King of Clubs.
Well, 2 kings are always better than 2 7s. Nam Lee out of position. May not want to slow play.
Molly.
Nam Lee shoves.
How much is it?
McDonald asking for a count, and that's certainly not slow play from Nam. He's been the tightest player at the table. And Mike is fully aware of that fact. Means if Nam's chips are hit in the middle, he's generally got a decent holding.
You see there, it'll cost McDonald 40% of his stack to call.
That's a good chunk. Mike does need to take a chance with 2 sevens here, and he's going to lay it down.
Good fold.
I don't know about that. I don't think it was.
That's a bad fold for Nam Lee. He certainly wanted that call.
You played much against him?
Not too much, no, but
It's a good fold.
It was a good hand, though.
Good hand for Nam Lee, and a great poker career so far. In 7 years, he has earned over $6 million. But he did the most damage from 2006 to 2008. In 06, he won a WPT for nearly $1.2 million. In 07, he finished second in a World Series event, $400,000. The next year, he won an APPT high roller and took home nearly $1 million, finishing second in a WPT event. For more on all the players, log on to epicpoker.com.
Here's a little perspective for you. Erik Seidel has won more this year than Nam Lee has in his whole career.
Right now, he's under the gun with pocket fours and raises to 28,000. Nam Lee will fold over to Fabrice Soulier. On the button, he looks at ace-10 offsuit, and he calls.
Ace-10, all right to play in position against Seidel.
McDonald and Steike fold in the blinds.
Those ace-10s can sometimes get you in trouble out of position.
Flop comes ace-jack tray. Soulier pairs his ace, giving him the best hand.
Seidel not one to relinquish control of a flop. He's reaching for chips and is going to fire that continuation bet. Despite the 2 overcards being out there.
Soulier just calls. Seidel way behind as we head to the turn. And the turn is queen of spades. Soulier's ace is still in front. Seidel now wastes little time as he puts out 82,000.
Erik firing the second barrel, not giving Soulier credit for a hand that he's going to be able to stick with on the turn here. Might have him on a jack.
Soulier calls, pot over 300,000.
Soulier picked up the Broadway draw to go with his aces.
River card is a tray, pairs the board. Aces up for Soulier. He has a check mark, action on Seidel, who checks. And Soulier checks.
No reason for Fabrice to fire a bet on the end there and risk getting check raised off of his ace.
So the number 7 ranked Soulier gets the best of the number 2 ranked Seidel. The Frenchman chips up. He's now over 1 million and over par, while Seidel slips a bit, but he is still top dog in the battle for the Epic Poker ring. 782,000 top prize. And hey, if you want to play poker for free, all you have to do is play Epic Poker on Facebook.
Action continues 5-handed. Nam Lee looks down at 10-8 offsuit. He's had the short stack most of the day. He'll take a pass here. Already guaranteed a 6-figure payday.
Mike McDonald now, 5-7 of hearts. And McDonald with a pot-sized raise, 28,000. David Steike in the small blind. He's got a pair of deuces.
Mike just being aggressive.
Steike will call.
David being defensive. David will be out of position with this small pair. Not exactly where you want to be, but 2 deuces, an easy hand to get away from. Flop a set or fold.
The flop, ace, king, 5, 2 hearts. McDonald pairs his 5 and picks up a flush draw. Action on Steike, and he checks.
Pretty good flop for Mike McDonald. 5's the best hand. Hearts to back it up.
McDonald bets 28,000. And Steike calls.
I don't like this call by David Steike one bit. He's still out of position. Nothing's going to change about that.
Jack of spades on the turn.
David, of course, going to check one more time. Now, McDonald could take this pot with a bet. Looks like he's going to play it conservative. That'll disguise the heart draw.
And the river is a queen of spades. McDonald earns the check mark. Action on Steike. And Steike making a play for it here puts out 32,000.
While Mike's got the check mark, he can't feel great about his hand. I was critical of Steike earlier, but right now he is making the most of his opportunity, putting pressure on McDonald. Can't imagine the youngster making this call.
McDonald lays down the best hand.
Oh, good play by David Steike. The door was opened up after Mike checked behind him on the turn, and he took advantage.
David Steike creeping up on Erik Seidel, and once again showing he can hang with the best. Experience Epic Poker. Now you can play like a pro, free. Welcome back to Epic Poker at the Palms Casino Resort. We have an all-in call situation, Ali.
Short stack Nam Lee pushed his last 196K into the middle with ace-king off. He was called by Fabrice Soulier with pocket jacks, and this all coming after Seidel's original 28K raise under the gun. Erik folded his king-jack off, and now we're heads up to the flop.
And the flop is Jack 9-7, Soulier with a set of jacks. It's going to give him a stranglehold on this hand. Lee in big trouble.
He's going to need a 10 or a queen on the turn to pick up a Broadway draw and keep hope alive.
8 on the turn. Lee has some life.
It can be a chop.
Yeah, Nam can now chop the pot with a 10 on the river.
River is a 9. No luck for Nam Lee. He goes out in 5th place.
Played great, man, as usual. Said you played great, as usual.
Just playing with you.
Nam getting some kind words from Fabrice on his way out. He picks up 126 grand and change for 5th.
So Soulier, the number 7 player on the GPI, chips up and collects a knockout. That also means Erik Seidel is now just 1 spot away from locking down the number 1 GPI ranking. Seidel poised in second. McDonald, the short stack, with 698,000. While the chip leader is perhaps our most surprising player, amateur David Steike. Earlier we asked Steike about his approach to the game.
You have to be competitive to win a poker tournament. You have to study every player, everything they do. I've really been in the zone these last 3 days. You get in the zone, you can do anything in poker. You can almost read people's minds.
Yeah, the clarity you experience on the felt when you're in the zone is the best feeling in all of poker.
Blinds up now to 8 and 12,000. Antes remain at 2,000. Mike McDonald looks at king-jack offsuit from under the gun.
Mike had a flight scheduled to leave the day before the final table. He changed it with about 12 players left, had another flight scheduled to leave during the final table, and then changed that again. Looks like we know what his secret is.
We will see him in first class now as he raises to 36,000. Over to Steike, who has queen-jack of diamonds. Steike calls. Seidel now with queen-8 of clubs. Seidel makes it 113,000.
Wow, classic squeeze here from Seidel. Look how intimidating he is. So far, Erik's gotten through Mike McDonald. Now back over to Steike, 77,000 for him to call. And he's going to make that call. Not the greatest hand, but he will have position on Erik.
This is a big pot brewing between the top 2 stacks. We head to the flop, and it's Jack 10-8, 2 clubs. Seidel pairs his 8, picks up straight and flush draws. He checks over to Steike.
What an action flop. Bottom pair and a straight flush draw for Erik. Top pair and a gut shot for David Steike. David's fired 213,000. That's a very big bet in relation to the pot size.
Like a 7.
And looky here. Seidel coming right back over the top, re-raising to 700,000.
Well, Steike must have read Erik Seidel for a smaller pair than any of the cards on the board. Thought that the bet would have gotten the job done on the flop. Instead, he's looking up at a huge check raise from Seidel, which screams, I have a huge hand. He 3-bet out of position against 2 players before the flop. Now he's been willing to check raise huge on the flop.
Reaching for chips.
Balk.
But oh, he lays him down with the left hand.
Steiche's not going to be happy about having fallen into that trap.
Eric's wife, Rua, watching another nice play by hubby.
That could have been a big pot.
It was a big pot for Seidel. He takes back the chip lead and continues this big year he's having. $6.2 million in earnings so far with 4 wins and 16 cashes.
Not too shabby. Blind still at 8 and 16 with the 2K ante.
Four-handed action. Steiche is under the gun with queen 6 off. He folds. Seidel with 9-5 off. He's loading up. And bets 38,000. Soulier looks at 6-4 of hearts. He folds.
Seidel getting aggressive with some of those new chips he picked up.
McDonald in the big blind with 8-7 of spades. And he's going to call.
The old suited connectors. Only 22,000 more for Mike to call. Can't enjoy being out of position against Seidel. Heads up, though.
Flop is king 10-7. Rainbow. McDonald pairs is 7. Nothing for Seidel.
Well, Mike's got the best hand. But again, he doesn't have control of the pot. He's going to slip it over to Seidel with bottom pair.
He reaches Seidel and bets 50,000. He's a machine, isn't he?
That's why they call him Cyborg, Pat.
McDonald calls.
Looked a little apprehensive there, didn't he?
Still does. Turn card, queen of clubs. McDonald still ahead. Seidel picks up a straight draw. McDonald checks. Seidel now reaching for chips, puts it together and bets 130,000.
About 10% of his remaining stack. Pretty good size bet in relation to the pot. Certainly has nothing to do with his 9 high or his gut shot straight draw. Just designed to put Mike to the test on the turn.
He folds and lays down the best hand.
The old 2-barrel special getting the job done against the Maple Leaf.
Erik Seidel winning each and every way he can. He's the chip leader with 4 remaining as his pursuit of the second Epic Poker title and #1 ranking on the GPI rolls on. Experience Epic Poker. Now you can play like a pro, free. Welcome back to the Palms Casino Resort. Just 4 remain in the hunt for the 8 max title as we pick up the action. Mike McDonald is our short stack with 586,000.
Mike still has 36 big blinds. Soulier in 3rd place and over par with 1.3 million. Steiche in 2nd with over 1.4, and holding steady with the chip lead is the Cyborg, Erik Seidel, with 1.5 million.
Ali blinds are 8,000, 16,000 with a 2,000 ante. Fabrice Soulier, first to act, peaks at Queen Jack offsuit. He raises to 36,000.
Four-handed, your range widens considerably. Queen Jack definitely playable.
Steiche now with 10-9 off, and he calls.
David's been on the looser side.
Seidel in the big blind has Queen of Spades, King of Clubs, and he calls. 3 players going to the flop.
209,000 in the middle. It's enough to pique the interest of these 3.
Flop comes, Jack 10-8, Rainbow. Soulier pairs his Jack. Steiche with a pair and a straight draw. He checks. Seidel checks with a better straight draw. Soulier checks as well. Turn is the deuce of spades. Soulier still ahead.
Little surprised to see the action get knuckled around on the flop, considering everybody had a piece. Total brick on the turn here. David comfortable firing 75,000.
Seidel calls. Soulier now.
He's got the best hand of this threesome. Gut shot straight draw to go along with top pair and a decent kicker. Well, Fabrice is going to pump it up.
He makes it 255,000, 2/3 of the pot.
614,000 in the middle, 180,000 to call. David's getting 3.4 to 1, but he does have Eric still left to act behind him. Can't imagine his 10s are good.
He reluctantly folds his hand. Big decision for Seidel now, Ali.
Seidel also getting 3.4 to 1. Eric probably thinking his 8 outs to the straight are good, unless, of course, Fabrice has 2 spades in his hand. Might be thinking the king would be a winner. Queen less likely.
Seidel calls the raise.
Looks like he's going to take his chances for another 180.
And the river, 10 of diamonds. That gives Soulier the check mark. His jacks hold up. Seidel missed his draw.
And it's going to give David Steike a sick feeling in his stomach as he would have hit trips.
Seidel checks, and Soulier checks.
Is that a straight draw?
I like the check from Soulier. Second time he's made that play in position against Seidel on the river.
You did well, you kicked me out. I had 9-10.
Fabrice Soulier takes the chip lead away from Eric Seidel, tripled his starting stack today.
Those are the pivotal pots. Seidel still doing fine with 1.2.
It's only a small pot. You're like...
Like anyone else, Seidel doesn't like losing pots.
As we pick up the action, chip leader Fabrice Soulier takes a look at Jack of Hearts, 4 of Hearts.
Might want to push the action even with rags.
He raises to 36,000. Mike McDonald has 8 of clubs, ace of spades. He makes it 96,000. Steike now has 5-4 spades, and he seems intrigued, but he folds. Eric Seidel in the big blind.
Going to take a pretty big hand for Seidel to call with a raise and 3-bet in front of him.
He has a deuce of clubs and tray of spades. Not good enough. Action back over to Soulier.
I'm all in.
Wow.
Soulier raises enough to put McDonald all in. Can McDonald call this?
I don't think so, Pat. This is great execution by Soulier. He's got enough chips in front of him to take this chance, and he knows that given Mike's stack, McDonald can only call with the very top of his range.
And he lays it down.
What a great bluff by Fabrice, extending his chip lead.
I think I got bluffed.
You think you get bluffed?
Yeah.
So why didn't you call?
Little banter, a lot of great poker. Ali, take us inside the numbers.
Well, Pat, in an 8 max, pros voluntarily play 20 to 25% of their hands, so no surprise to see a higher number with just 4 left. But Steike is by far the loosest player at 45%. The aggression index measures a player's bets or raises compared to calls or folds. A pros ratio is normally 2 to 1. Steike at 1.6 is the most passive of the 4. Loose and passive is not how a pro usually plays, but the amateur Steike has been making it work so far, Pat.
McDonald first to act with a pair of 4s and a raise to 36,000. Loose Steike folds this time. Eric Seidel folds. Now our chip leader, Fabrice, with 110 and 2 10s. How much pressure does he want to put on the short stack? He raises to 101,000.
McDonald has just under 500 behind.
On.
And he pushes the rest of his chips into the middle.
I call.
Soulier calls. Mike McDonald's tournament life is at risk.
Well, Mike drew a line in the sand, and that may have been a result of thinking that he was bluffed the last time they butted heads.
Well, if McDonald doesn't find a 4, he's heading for the door. The flop is a queen jack 4. McDonald hits his 4.
2-ball corner pocket. Mike has hit the 2-outer. He's going to want to avoid a straight card to prevent the sweat.
Here's the turn, 6 of clubs. McDonald's still alive.
Doesn't have to worry about any running straight card.
Soulier needs a 10 to send McDonald back to Canada.
Now Fabrice with the 2-outer.
River card is a tray, and Mike McDonald survives.
It was 532, and then I think after Andy 530, I'll just double count it again. Unlucky.
Like they say, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. 21-year-old lives to play another day.
475, 515.
Wow, now it's pretty even.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We're gonna play till 8 in the morning, guys.
Could be.
And with that win by Mike McDonald, all 4 remaining players are now over $1 million in chips, with less than $400,000 separating first place from 4th. The final table at the Palms Casino Resort began with 8 hopefuls, but after quick eliminations and strong poker, we are down to the final 4. So next time, we find out who will be crowned Epic Poker's second main event champion. Every final table begins with great expectation, but while some dreams were dashed tonight, hope springs eternal for each of our remaining players. So Ali, who do you like?
I gotta be honest, Pat. Each of these guys has impressed me so far in the tournament.
And when the final table began, most bets were on Erik Seidel. Now, even with the chip counts almost equal, I still like Seidel to win the title and the $780,000 top prize. Seidel's the best player at the table, and in my opinion, the best in the world.
Well, as good as the action has been, it should only get better as we draw closer to crowning a champion. Thank you for joining us. For Ali Nejad, I'm Pat O'Brien. We will see you next time as the Epic Poker League final table rolls on.